you've just got your first 100K. First of all, well done, but how do we multiply it? If I could take you back to when I was 18 turning 19, I actually started doing bits of trading, something called spread betting, and I ended up working together with somebody else to create a bit of an algorithm to essentially gamble on my behalf on this. And spread betting is basically betting on whether a stock price goes up or down. I'd find a really volatile stock to find two different channels to do it on and then gamble and make the difference. It's called an arbitrage, and that they don't really exist nowadays, but they did back then until one platform bought the other. Anyway, I made some money pretty bloody quickly. And the reason why I say this is sometimes we can earn money really quickly. And if you're one of those watching now, whether it's you've got online or something like that, you're in the right place, because actually what I did was incredibly stupid. I built up a six-figure sum very quickly and then spent it all within about 10 months. Over £200,000 actually spent in 2 months. So there's a quick lesson on what not to do. And I guess that's more for my younger viewers here, is that sometimes when you get into money, you end up spending it trying to look impressive to those that really aren't going to matter 10 years from now. So rule number one, don't spunk your money. Number two round. I actually got a little bit smarter here. I watched a few episodes of Homes Under the Hammer. Martin and Lucy were dishing out all this great content, great guidance to everyone. Everyone bloody ignored them, and they still made money. And I thought, well, if these idiots can do it, then so can I. So I started working really hard, and I bought my first property, number 36 Burdett Street, for £21,800, and this was a 3-bed mid-terrace property in Burnley whilst I still lived in London. So I drive up each weekend. The house got trashed by somebody, Steve, and I meant to cough and say the name right. Anyway, we're not going to go into that. And that was my second mistake. So the reality is you're meant to find a rundown property in a great area, the worst house on the best street, and then make your money from it. But I bought a terrible property in a terrible area 200 miles away, and it didn't quite go to plan. So my top tip right now is get educated. And again, I know I'm an educator myself. I'm not saying from me, watch the channel, get all the free stuff, listen to who's going to be great. But the reality is you're better investing your time, your energy, and sometimes your money into getting world-class education before you throw yourself at this, because you need to know the fundamentals of what you need to do. The biggest mistakes that I find is in the strategy. So when you start looking into property, I think originally you think that property is buying, refurbishing, renting out a property, or buying, refurbishing and selling a property. And then you find out about all this glossy stuff, right? BRRs and rent to rents and service accommodation and lease options. And then actually you get massively distracted, I think is the word. You get sold in all these different directions. You go to these training companies and they sell you on these 13 different streams of income and how you need this, and the average millionaire has 5 streams of income, forgetting the fact that the average millionaire started with 1 stream of income, which then become 2 streams of income. The reality is, if you want to build that skyscraper however high, you have to start with the foundation. So this is not financial advice, but honestly, if you are thinking about doing things like rent to rent, HMO, service accommodation, and think it's going to be passive in any way, shape or form, you are deluded, my friend. It's just not going to happen. And by the way, I've done them all. I would not say I'm an absolute expert. Maybe an expert would go, that's because you didn't do it the right way. But I know a lot of people that have done SA. I know a lot of people that have done HMOs, and it has not been passive in any way, shape or form. By the way, does that mean it's bad? No. I've got some serviced accommodation, by the way. They're still great, but they are not passive income streams. The only reason it works for me is because I've got strategic partners in place to run the day to day. So if you're building a skyscraper, would you even think about starting by building out the penthouse apartment? No, that would be absolute ridiculous. What would you start with first when you are building a building? You get the plans in place, you figure out the right strategy, and then you dig the foundations. And in my opinion, there is only one strategy, and that is boring, vanilla, buy-to-let properties. And your first aim, if you're new to property, by the way, should be getting your first 5 properties. That's it. Get your first 5 properties, your foundation, your underlay, and then do what you want after that. You can afford to take more risks, put more time into it, be a bit more creative with it. But at the beginning, boring, vanilla. buy-to-let properties. Next thing you need to look at is the area, okay? So when I'm deploying 100K, it's not a huge amount of money. Now, I don't want to take away from the fact that you have done incredibly well to get here, but the reality is you really want to start accelerating your journey in the right place. When I say place, I mean the area that you invest in. So again, you know from the property in Burdett Street, it was £21,800 and it was in a terrible area at the time, and it was just a very silly thing. Right now you see it a lot, and I'm not slagging off Durham before anyone has a go at me, but there's a lot of people investing in the arse end of Durham, like the worst places to invest, like the mining villages that are going nowhere. They're just not, because of how cheap the property is. And they've had a little bit of false inflation come in play because of COVID and things like that. And people think like suddenly it's this amazing gold mine area. I am not subjugating that to the whole of the Northeast, by the way, but it is certainly not the best areas in the UK to invest. 100% guaranteed, right now at least. In 20 years, maybe we have a different chat. However, when you're selecting your area, you need good infrastructure, you need money getting pumped into it, and you need to find people that are looking to be entrepreneurial in the space. And that's a really big reason for me. West and South Yorkshire is one of the top areas that we invest in. I really like Nottingham as well. Manchester's good, but it was really the time to get in like 5 years ago. So if you look at Leeds as an example, you've got, it's the second largest financial district in the UK outside of London. We've got big HQs moving here, such as Channel 4, their entire HQ. We've just had sign off that Microsoft is building something like a $2.6 billion factory for AI computers just south of Leeds, which is absolutely ridiculous. We've got the South Bank development going on, which is 350 football pitches of residential development, the second largest residential development in the UK. Why is all of this important? Well, because of capital appreciation. Over 80% of your wealth in property comes from capital appreciation. It's why I just don't give a shit about all of these cash flowing strategies like SA and everything. Now, if you're watching this and you are desperate to quit your job, then maybe doing something like deal packaging or something like that is going to be for you. Whereas if you're looking for your financial future, increasing your wealth and making your family and your heritage and the people that inherit this property millionaires, then it's going to be through capital growth, not making an extra £500 to £1,000 a month. Okay, it's going to be about becoming a millionaire. And that is done through capital growth. So you want to look at your types of areas. Your area in general, is there regeneration, hospitals, cinemas, complexes, bus routes, trains, schools, good or outstanding. All of these things have a positive impact on that. Now, the reality is there is way too much to go through on this video, but hopefully by now you have realized that buy-to-lets are the way forward. And by the way, you can watch countless videos on here where I talk about other strategies, but it all comes back to the foundation of boring vanilla buy-to-let properties. And if you want to find out more about how we can help you scale that portfolio this year and beyond, put APG in the comments. The reality is I can teach you this all day, and if you want more on this, let me know in the comments. I'll do more videos. This channel is for you. But at a certain point, you need to realize that just because you've been good at making and managing your money, it doesn't mean you know how to multiply it. And that's where we come in. We've done over 1,000 deals. And even now, being open, we're not perfect. We get things wrong. But we've done over 1,000 completions now. I would consider us experts in the field, and we want to take as much of that strain away from you. And so if you want to have a chat, no obligation, put APG in the comments. I'll send you a link and you can book in a free one-to-one strategy session. But let me know what I missed. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Where would you invest your 100K to get the safest, most reliable, most consistent returns in property? If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit subscribe and the notification bell. If you got value, destroy that like button. And of course, I'll see you in the next video.